What's up, guys? TK coming at you from Master Wealth Builders LLC. And as you can see, I just came out of a webinar, but this was in person. But it made me think about something that applies to everyone, and that is long-term income strategies that make sense, right? I mean, like, think about it. You're a child, you grow up, you get out of high school, you have to figure out financially, what are you going to do? What are you going to do to make an income, right? And most of us are never taught what to do with our income, no matter how much, whether it's a small income or a large income. What are you going to do to make money? Which is the first thing you have to figure out. And then, what do you do with your money over the course of your lifetime, right? We're never, out of all the classes we go to, none of the classes talk about long-term income strategies, right? So that's what I wanted to cover in terms of thinking about our current structure, right? What is your current structure? Your current structure is you have a job, you're a W-2, you trade your time, and then your job gives you some money. And then the government takes, 40% of that money, because W-2 is the highest tax bracket. When do we get taught to be a business owner, to have nothing run through our social security number and have everything run through our EIN associated with our LLC? That's a lower tax bracket. That's what the wealthy people do. They don't own anything. They run everything through their business EIN, not through their social security number. So instead of being a 40% tax bracket, they're in a 10% tax bracket. And then you can even have deductions if you have a business, so that your tax liability is lowered even more. But out of all the classes that we go to, as we grow up, as we go to high school, when are we taught that? When do we do something smart today that positions us better for tomorrow, right? Long-term income strategies. Structuring everything physically through an LLC instead of structuring it through your social security number. Becoming a business owner instead of being a W-2 employee, right? Robert Kiyosaki's income bracket, the 4 quadrants, and which quadrant do you want to be in? I don't know why mindset is what strikes me, is what I try to pass on to other people, right? So when are we taught these things? Who sits down and says it to you? In the financial services industry, you get exposed, right, to different strategies, different opportunities. But this is not information people give away. It's information that I had to seek after. And after a lot of effort and a lot of attention and a lot of self-determination, now I have access, right? Access to different strategies. So tax strategy, business owner, right? Instead of W-2. But where do you save your money? Where do you put it? You're taught savings account, right? You're taught 401k, you're taught IRA, right? Still heavy tax load, because when you withdraw that money, you're gonna get hit with the same 40%. So when does anyone sit down and talk to you about structuring, right? So I talked about structuring through a LLC, but who taught you how to structure through a trust? Who taught you how to establish a trust for your family and structure your assets in that trust? Who sat down and talked to you about actually saving in life insurance as opposed to saving in a bank? Because life insurance allows you to become your own bank, which just means borrowing against your policy to accomplish whatever you're trying to borrow to use. Right? I go to the bank, I want to borrow $40,000 because I want to buy a car. Oh, I'm going to structure my life so that I can borrow against my life insurance policy so that I can buy a car. Same $40,000, but Instead of going to the bank, I'm going to my policy. Why does that not make sense to people? And who sat down and explained that to you? Who ever talked to you about that process? That's why I do these videos, because I'm trying to get younger people to do long-term strategies before they get old. A lot of people say young people won't listen. Well, that's what these videos are for. I hope that people take the time to listen. So it makes more sense to save in life insurance because of the tax liability being zero. You can set yourself up so that you have a zero tax liability if you take a loan against your policy, because loan is not considered income. You have to pay it back. I talked about 0% loans in certain policy structures, which is an opportunity that's advantageous if you save instead of at the bank in a life insurance policy. So you have a limit that you can contribute to every single policy. It could be 10,000, it could be 20,000. It depends on how you structure it, but it makes more sense to save in a policy than it makes to save at a bank. What's the average percentage return at a bank right now? Look it up, Google it. What are you getting right now on your savings account? If you save in a life insurance policy, you're going to get 6 to 8%. That's what the average return has been based on historical events or past performance. So think about that. Whoever sat you down and talked about these things, what I want to know is what classes you take that told you that life insurance savings is more advantageous than bank savings. That $100,000 saved at the bank doesn't do you justice because of inflation, but $100,000 saved in a life insurance policy does do you justice because of compound interest, because of indexing. I hope this video helps someone, because when do you get taught these things? I had to seek after this information. So a financial strategy that makes sense long-term, index, universal life, or indexed annuity, deferred index annuity. Those are two strategies that make sense. It makes more sense than saving in a 401k. It makes more sense than saving in a bank. It makes more sense because of the tax strategy, because of the compound interest, and because of the ability to borrow later on in life. So I talked about structuring your life, your assets, your physical things through a LLC instead of through your social security number. I talked about you saving money not at a bank, not in a 401k, not in an IRA, but in life insurance, in a IUL, or in a deferred index annuity, because it makes more sense. And then I talked about structuring your life in a trust. So please take advantage of this information. I had to fight to get it. I'm giving it to you for free.